Okay, so I talked way too long last week, so this week I am not going to talk a lot and hopefully just go through this very, very quickly for those of you who continue to be so patient with me. But this week is gender, and one of the things my father always used to say when I was growing up was, my father, who had 3 daughters, real men don't eat quiche, and that was a satirical book back in, I believe, in the 80s. But it always stuck with me. Real men don't eat quiche. And of course my father loved quiche. As we go through gender, what I want you to do is very quickly tell me who eats these things. And so what may have happened is you were looking at those images, automatically your brain may have assigned a gender to those foods. Men eat this, women eat this. Gender is not our biological sex, and so many people confuse those things. And so when you're walking around and someone confuses sex with gender, go ahead and educate them a little bit. But gender is something that is culturally constructed or socially constructed. We as cultures build gender rules. And what's so interesting is those gender rules and roles are not universal. You can travel, and those of you who have traveled or actually have just seen things done a certain way know that certain roles change as you move amongst cultures. One quick example that does have to do with food is the role of a server, the person who brings you your food in a restaurant. Here, when you're looking at restaurants, you'll notice that that's predominantly a female role. Most of our servers are women. When you travel in Europe, particularly in more, I remember in Florence, we only had male servers, and it was once we started noticing it, we were looking for women because we couldn't find any women servers. That actually has carried over into this country. As you go to restaurants and your restaurants become more upscale or expensive, you will probably find more male servers. So there's a socioeconomic kind of concept to that as well. But we go through gender, the concept of food becomes another place, and a very, very powerful place for gender to be socially constructed. And because we eat 3 times a day, because food is so present in our lives, it's a very powerful space for the construction of gender roles. It's always happening, it's immediate, it's in our face, and actually the entire food system can be loaded with gender construction. So this isn't perfect because you see a steer becoming a turkey, but as you see, ranching and cowboys have usually been male roles, then moving through the concept of who processes that meat, then who cooks it, who prepares it, and then how many pictures or things have you seen where it's the male who actually then cuts the meat. I think this is also in that very famous Norman Rockwell Thanksgiving dinner. I believe it's a woman who's bringing it down, but there's a male at the head of the table. Someone could look that up and tell me if I'm right or wrong there. So we're going to be looking at how cultures load food systems and food events with gender rules and roles. And for this week, what I'd like you to do is think of a particular food or food system that is gendered, and explain kind of why you see that. Do your reading, because you'll see in the Moodle that there's an actual link back to the reading. But really try to think about something. And the viewings too, just make sure you follow the viewings, because they're a little hard to find, but they are pretty good, and they're relatively short, so they're not too bad. And then for this week's post, I'd like you to go out into the world, and it doesn't matter where you go. You can go to Starbucks, you can go to a nice bar, you can go to a restaurant, and I'd like you to observe gender roles. Make sure you watch everybody, staff, clientele, kids, families, and see if you can see some cultural gender roles in what we have. Okay, these posts and discussions are due a little bit later because you have so much to watch and so much to do, so there are extended deadlines. Thank you.